Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Soul Seekers podcast, where we believe that hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure as we share our mission of mentorship is conservation. To learn more about everything we do, check out our show on Carbon TV or go to soulseekersnation.com. Freedom on, everybody, and stay soulful. Do you want to become a better shooter, reduce flinch, protect your ears, and just overall enjoy shooting your gun that much more? Then there's no better way to do that than by adding a suppressor to the end of your barrel. Be sure to check out Huxwrx Safety Co, as they are a leader in the suppressor world with their OSS Flow-Through Technology, virtually eliminating blowback and toxic gas that can affect weapon system performance and shooter health. To find out more about Huxwrx, go to huxwrx.com. That's huxwrx.com, and go get yourself a suppressor for your upcoming hunts. This podcast is also proudly brought to you by OnX Hunt. When I first got into hunting, I kept hearing all about public land and different access and how to find different locations to hunt. I was like, well, how are people even identifying all this stuff? Well, sure enough, I came across the number one hunting GPS app, and that is OnX Hunt. If you guys want to get better at hunting and go deeper into your scouting, OnX Hunt is the number one GPS app for that. Join the millions of hunters who trust OnX Hunt to find more game, discover new access, and hunt smarter. It was a game changer for me, and I know it's going to be a game changer for you if you've never used it. If you have used it, you know the power that it holds. Guys, I really hope you enjoy this episode. If you want to know more about OnX, go to onxmaps.com/hunt. And check out their app. Be blessed, freedom on, and stay soulful. If you're in the market for optics, I want you to go check out blackdiamondoptics.com. Black Diamond Optics offers world-class sporting and tactical optics, including thermals, all at wholesale pricing, direct to consumer. They are going to be partnering up with us for 2023, and I want to start pointing you over towards their direction. Check out Black Diamond Optics. If you've got any questions about it, shoot us a message. Love to hear from you. Be blessed, everybody. All right, guys, if you're looking for a better way to stay hydrated this coming hunting season and on all your adventures in the future, go check out hardsidehydration.com. Their swig rig is awesome, an absolute game changer when it comes to staying hydrated. I get tired of playing around with any water bladders in my bag and having to remove things to get to them and the chance of them puncturing and all that. So what Hardside did, take Nalgene's, got multiple sizes, and you're attaching your hose straight to that. Keep it on the outside of your pack, a lot easier to use. They also have a lot of other cool things. Go check out hardsidehydration.com. Use the code SOULSEEKERS10. That's all one word. Save yourself 10% at checkout. Hope you guys enjoy this podcast. Be blessed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Soul Seekers podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Mack. Tonight I am joined by one of my hunting partners and somebody who is a living testimony of our mission of mentorship as conservation. That is no other than the Iron Will Weber himself. He's here to join us to talk all about the idea and this concept of the progression of a hunter. He was formerly a non-hunter, whether it was indifferent, whether for hunting or against hunting, ended up going down a path of self-sustainability and homesteading, decided that hunting was a big part of that, and sourcing his own food and protein was a big part of the life that he wanted to choose for himself and his family. Got into hunting. We took Will on his very first hunt, which you can watch on season 1 of Soul Seekers on Carbon TV, and then from there, his life was fully transformed. He wanted to then continue to give back to something that gave to him so much. He became a member of Soul Seekers. And without further ado, he has been joining us on multiple hunts. And we have the world ahead of us as I am joined by none other than Iron Will a couple days after his 34th birthday. Iron, how you doing, brother?
What is happening, everybody? Wherever it is, wherever you are, whatever time of day, whatever day it is, happy day to you.
Yeah, absolutely. As we are cresting the end of October into November, the deer rut's kicking off all over. I'm down here in Texas, and I'm going to start figuring out the idea of rattling for whitetail bucks. And you guys have had a heck of a season, you and Tony. Tony, congratulations. The two-shot just had his second kid on none other but then your birthday on Friday.
buddy. I got to meet baby yesterday. I got to stop by and see them, and she's perfect. They're perfect.
Yeah.
Full time.
Big shout out to Two Shot, our video editor and our all around awesome man. All right, so Will, let's dive into the topic of today: progression of a hunter.
Hmm.
Few years ago, you decided to make a life transforming choice, and that was to step into becoming a hunter. Since then, you have been on a lot of different hunts. You've experienced a lot of different styles of hunts. Um, and now you're also raising your own animals for butchering chickens, turkeys, cattle, all that. Does the feeling of hunting being new, is it still there after being in it for 3 years?
I was just having this conversation with a buddy of mine, Sean. Shout out, Sean. He's Mr. Waterfowler, Mr. Snow Goose, Mr. He's got us kind of addicted to bird hunting now too. But I was just talking with him about it the other day and talking about the difference between being new in the game and being early in the game. And I feel like I'm just early in it now. Every hunt I go on, whatever animal I'm hunting, I find those animal. I know how to scout and figure that stuff out. I know how to hunt those animals. It's just a matter of spending time afield and stacking hunt after hunt after hunt after experience. This year, I feel like I gained a lot of traction in that because it was one heck of a hunting season for us so far. I've been on a lot of hunts this year, a lot of animals, lot of miles driven, a lot of miles hiked.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a buster year as far as new opportunities, new people, new places, and yeah, I don't feel as new in it anymore. I feel like I have a grasp and I know what I'm doing. Now I'm just early. I just need to stack time adventure.
Do you feel like you're starting to forget some of the things that you used to hold, like as your concrete? Hey, these are the things that people told me that I need to remember when I go out to the field. Are they starting to become habit, or do they start to feel like distant memories, and you're creating your own style of how you like to hunt?
No, I mean I would say those are some building blocks that I used as the foundation of my hunting journey. I mean, I can't tell you how many hunts I've been on. It's interesting because you and Tony took me on my first hunt and Commander Clint and stuff, and then kind of set me up with some people along the journey before I really I mean, from 2020 was my first hunt, and really all of the back half of 21, all of 22, all of 23, I've just been hunting with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I would say that you guys have been very important in my hunting journey. And I can't tell you how many times I've either gotten set up on an animal or stalking an animal or just out hiking or doing something. And Johnny Mac or Tony are popping into my ear telling me something that they've told me 100 times before. And it's just a reminder. And it has contributed to my success. The animals I've harvested, one of you guys has been in my ear from memory, not even physically there, like in my ear, just like processes things you guys have told me have like it's like you're standing on my shoulder talking to me.
That's awesome. Do you think that is because you were such a diligent listener and learner and mentee, or do you feel like they were just that critical of points that you were like, I do need to make sure I remember this?
Yeah, well, I don't know if people remember I was called Silent Will for a reason. I didn't say much. All I did was so. No, I mean I think you have to have staples and you have to have like pivotal things that you lean on when you're hunting that are constants because dude, hunting is trying. It's not just you're experiencing it now. You went from, Pacific Northwest, West Side style hunting, dark timber, all this stuff to being, I mean, flatlander, Texas. Well, you know what I mean? Lines, feeders. It's a different cycles, different animal behaviors, like, and you're doing it right now. It's not like you just jumped into it and it's like, oh, this is shooting fish in a barrel. It's animals are really smart, and
Mhm.
you go into their home.
Mhm.
You would like to think if an intruder or somebody came into your home, you have a clear advantage.
Yeah.
You know your home.
Yep.
The animals do. So it's if you don't have things to kind of fall back on when you're out hunting, tracking animals, trying to put a stalk on an animal, tracking one after you shot it, like behaviors and scout. I mean, if you don't have things to fall back onto, it can be very defeating at
Mhm.
times.
Yeah.
And I feel like falling back on some of that stuff can kind of help, pull you out of some of those funks and put you back on the right path.
Yeah. No, I like that. That's a really interesting concept to hear, and hearing you share that is pretty cool. I am in this journey of learning the idea of whitetail hunting, and
That's wild.
often I find myself feeling like I don't know anything about hunting through this process, but then I'm like, oh, wait, no, I do actually know about
Hmm.
this. And then at the same time, I don't know anything about this. Like, for example, I've never rattled for deer before. That is going to be a brand new experience for me here um, within the next couple weeks. I'm hoping that it brings some some lessons learned in a positive way. I'm ready for some tides to shift in my hunting journey where not that I'm looking for things to be a little easier because I do believe in earning stuff. However, I've gotten to a point in my hunting career where things are just naturally falling, like dominoes were falling. I don't know if it was time in the field or beginner's luck or whatever it was. And now I'm reaching a point where it's like everything's becoming challenging. Um,
Yeah.
and,
You
and
kind of started over. I mean, it, it's a different style of hunting. What you were doing, you talk about like just going hiking with a rifle and just trying to figure it out. And it's like,
Mhm,
oh, I already hike. You mean I could just bring a rifle and have a tag in my pocket and hunt something?
yeah,
To where, we got a pretty good streak of like, we're finding the animals we're looking for on our hunts and we're getting opportunities.
yeah,
And now you're in this whole new department of like, you know, you had a pretty good idea doing the Western style hunting when you're up there. Like if something went wrong, you weren't really asking yourself, man, what went wrong? It was
mhm,
like you had a good idea what went wrong.
yeah.
Now, like you're in a whole new ballpark.
Yeah, the one of the things that I've found, and I'm not trying to make this podcast about me because I want to hear more about your stories and progressions, but one of the things that I find very not settling is, and I'm being full transparent, honest on this podcast, so uh, like I believe that some things are are better kept to yourself. Not that you're lying or not that you're not telling the truth, but some things are just meant to be for you.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and being a hunter on a deer lease where the landowner wants to know everything,
Mm,
that is a challenge where it's like, okay, like for example, um, you shoot a deer, you have boundaries within your lease. Well, the chances of an animal being shot and dropped instantly right there could happen, but also they can take off and run. Okay, so
right.
so now the idea of like, well, crap. Now we're contacting landowners. Now we're contacting neighbors. Now we're contacting all these people beyond just you and your hunt. That
Sure.
that has been something that I've found to be truly fascinating to the point where Western hunting, uh, whether it's gutless method or you gut the animal or whatever, you shoot it, you track it, you find it, you do your business, and you're heading off the mountain or heading out of the prairie or whatever it is. Well, our landowner here down here in Texas doesn't even want you to gut the animal on the process. They want you to drag it out, load it up, and then take it to this one area. to quarter it and gut it and all that. So it's just like it's just an interesting concept because I'm like, well, coyotes are going to eat it or other things are going to be happening. Like it's the circle of life, and yet um, down here in ranch land, the reason why I was told why they want that to happen is because there's so many buzzards, and if buzzards are circling, they want to make sure it wasn't a cow that died. And
Mm.
I'm like, oh, it's interesting, but it's somehow playing an effect in my psyche of like how I want my hunt to go.
You
Um,
have a list of stipulations to follow.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if I like it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
but maybe I would like it more if I wasn't hunting a small portion of land,
Sure.
right? Like thousands of acres is a lot different than 120.
100%. Yeah.
You
Big
know,
difference.
especially when you're blind and is set up on the boundaries of that
Yeah.
acreage rather than in the dead center of it. So these are some of the things that I'm coming across as a hunter and transitioning into what it's like down here. And I'm like, all right, this is like I'm rewriting everything that I know. I know how to hunt. I understand. I'm paying attention to the weather a whole lot more. Like, oh, and I'm watching on social media, specifically formerly known as Twitter, the X. I follow a lot. I've always followed a lot of whitetail hunters just because. And now I'm seeing across social media, hey, send us your pictures of your success photos after this cold snap or this cold front. Or I'm like, oh, I get it because that's where the deer are more active rather than being like, well, this is the dates in which I'm hunting. And it doesn't matter what the weather's going to be. Season's only open for 2 weeks. You got to go when you go.
Yeah.
These are all the things as my journey and progression of a hunter has been challenging, a blessing, frustrating. The idea of a long season's awesome, and at the same time, it makes it so you always want to go rather than telling the wife, "All right, babe, I'm gonna be gone just for like these 5 days or whatever, and then we'll call it good." It's like, all right, when can I go? And then my wife works, so every weekend that I'm gone is a weekend that she also uh, that's her time as well. And so just the dynamic of life right now is challenging beyond just the hunt. Um, a-
Absolutely.
and that's one of the things where I'm like, all right, we're balancing it. And this is a full transparency podcast, apparently. I didn't know it was like going through a counseling session on this. Jeez Louise, Will.
Hey, just get it out, man. If you need to get it out. It's interesting though, hearing you talk about like weather cycles and stuff. Because speaking of my buddy Sean, I mean, he was telling me like with birds up here, he's like, when the bat call comes, the bat call comes. Like if there's a certain weather thing going to be there in the morning, it might be load up and go
Hmm.
and do a couple of like. So when you got a cold front come in or something that you know is going to make your move, and you want to just kind of be like, I kind of just want to get up and go tomorrow morning and go. Whereas, like you said, up here, we're more used to being like, we're hunting this animal these dates, and we're hunting these animals these dates. No matter what, we're leaving and going.
Yeah,
And
it's
what is felt?
it's truly fascinating. How just oh man. Anyways, enough about my journey. I want to talk about your progression. You've gone from non-hunter to mentee to mentoring other hunters and then also getting to a point where you're watching other people and being there for the successes of other hunters. Um, what's some of the stuff that like I don't even really have specific questions at this point. More or less, just tell me what it's been like for you, and what are some of the highlights and lowlights of the
Sure.
different parts of the progression of your hunt.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about my journey a lot. You and I personally, me and Tony, etc. And it's been, you know, I I've had like at the start, I didn't think I was gonna have all these like boxes to check and like different benchmarks and stuff to hit. Like I didn't view it like that. And then like as I continue to progress through my journey, I come up with these things every year that it's like, man, I really kind of want to experience that.
Hmm. What's up, Soul Seekers Nation? Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I really appreciate it. As a reward, I have some discount codes for you to use if you are in the market for a brand new hunting pack. Go check out initialascent.com and Initial Ascent packs. They are made in America. Their one-piece carbon frame is an absolute game changer. We run their packs. We love them. And you can save 5% at checkout by using the code SOULSEEKERS. That's all one word. Also, for those of you who are archery hunters and you are tired of shooting at dots on a target, check out deadnutsoutdoors.com for their lifelike 2D archery targets. You can save 20% on all of their products by using the code SOULSEEKERS at checkout. Once again, the code is SOULSEEKERS, all one word. Go check out initialascent.com and Dead Nuts Outdoors. Enjoy the podcast.
I want to know how I feel when I experience that.
Yeah.
It's not always about, like, this year I got to experience Triumph here recently with Tony, which was a real full circle moment for me because honesty be told, since 2020 when I started, I haven't seen an animal harvested on one of our hunts that I didn't shoot. You have harvested animals since, but I wasn't on those hunts with you.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't on those hunts with them. So I got to kill my first bear last year, where it all started, where you guys first took me, which was that was a real winning moment for me. You weren't on that hunt, which was a little bit of a bummer. But you were able to come up for your elk tag that year, and that's when I notched my first archery tag on a buck. And so it was like I still got to experience like one of my triumphs with you, which was a real full circle because you invited me on my first hunt. So it was like to see that kind of, like, I remember seeing and talking with you about how you felt when you saw me harvest that buck. And it was like a big moment even for you, because it was like, I took this guy on his first hunt. We've become brothers and families are close and stuff. But to experience that was like, those were all triumphant moments for me. So experiencing those was a big deal to me. And then coming into this year, I had a high expectation of like seeing Tony notch a tag, because he's missed on some animals the last couple of years, and we've had opportunity, and me and him hunted together. I mean, all of our hunts were together this year, but we did a lot this year. We got out in the field a lot this year. And I was wondering what it would feel like to be kind of the wingman on a hunt and be like, I mean, I feel like I was set up for that, like doing the setup, like, hey, ranging the animal, helping get to a good vantage point, like making sure whoever's on the gun is comfortable or on the bow is comfortable, ranging that animal, letting them know, giving them play by play where it's at, watching the animal when they shoot. Like, I feel like I've gone through my progression so much in that department that I'm like, I'm just going to go straight into wingman mode and just like get them dialed and make sure they're comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But I was also like wondering, like, was I going to feel any sort of selfishness when we finally notched, like, got that animal down or walked up on it or whatnot, and I wasn't the shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Similar to like other parts of the hunt where it's like, hey, can you shoot an animal? Can you gut an animal? Can you do all this stuff? Do you have what it takes to do that? Well, I was like, do I have what it takes to be selfless in that moment? Because we all take meat home on our hunts if somebody notches. So there's that. But like, could I go a season without notching something and just really focus on somebody else's triumph? And when Tony shot that blacktail on the high buck hunt this year, the way everything played and what we had to go through to get over to get it and get it out of there and stuff, when we finally got over there and we weren't finding any sign of anything where we shot it, I saw something down in the timber and I was like, I don't know, that looks like a blacktail body, but I wasn't 100% sure. And I just kind of went on instinct and ventured down, and I saw once again, that like defeated look starting to take over Tony's face, and just kind of like the, no, we hit it, saw it tumble, but there's nothing here. Like there's no sign, there's no blood, there's nothing. It rained that night. Like it was just, ah. And then he said something to me about, I don't think, I don't know, dude, there's nothing here. I don't think that, I don't know. And I go, it's all right, dude, because I found your buck. Because I got down into the timber, and what I saw up top was exactly what it was. It was this deer piled up where I thought it was going to pile up. And the absolute just overwhelming emotion that took Tony over
Mm-hmm.
was maybe the best part of my entire hunting journey, was sharing that with somebody else.
Wow.
And to go and do, because it's like even packing the animal out, man. I mean, that pack out sucked, dude. And it was like, what do I have to show for it? Well, Tony's going to have a really beautiful buck on his wall to show for it,
Uh-huh.
and everlasting memories and all that stuff. So I don't know, man. Every year I just keep coming up with these little check boxes that I kind of want to. I think you got to have goals in everything you do in life, even if it's just something that fills your soul, like hunting or anything anybody does, riding a horse or doing anything else, training horses or playing sports or with your family or whatever. I think you got to have goals. So I use these benchmarks as like my evolution of hunting, like becoming that much more experienced and that more comfortable in it.
Mm-hmm. So, what are some of the lowlights?
Uh, I mean, missing on animals really sucks, man.
Yeah.
When you get opportunity, I don't think we really recapped, uh, and we can save the full recap for another episode. But I don't think we went to Utah this year to hunt archery elk, and I had a tag in my pocket. Tony came and filmed everything, and we were there with Jake Olson,
Shout
good
out to
buddy. That
Jake. Yep.
shout out to Jake and his buddy Dave, who he notched a beautiful bull, once in a lifetime bull tag down there after we left. But you know that was the first time that I was like really intentionally hunting elk.
Mm-hmm.
I've been out with you guys, but never really like intentionally trying to notch my own tag. And we drove all the way to Utah for a 7-day hunt, and um, we managed to hike a whole lot of miles and really burn ourselves out. And we managed to, the first night, get into a group of maybe about 45 elk. There was a bull and a spike and a bunch of cows and some calves down in some old burned dark timber, like some nasty stuff. And we were down in the thick of it with these elk, and just like being a little inexperienced in that department, probably hindered us. But I went full draw 4 times on these elk, but just couldn't seal the deal. And then I shot on one and I missed clean over its back because I misjudged the distance.
Uh-huh.
That was a real bummer because that thing was literally snuck in on us and was right in my face. Like, I mean, it was right there. Um, for me, those are definitely some low light moments, and it's also tough seeing other people defeated on hunts, your hunting partners stuff. Um, when you get moments of adversity with them and moments of them feeling down, that gets tough too. It's just you set out because you take time away from the family and stuff. I mean, I took quite a bit of time in August and September this year away from the family, filling my cup, and and also trying to put meat in the freezer and have those experiences. And it's a little tough. It doesn't get any easier to take that time away from the family when you're not consistently successful.
Mm-hmm.
It gets a little tougher every time. You miss them a little harder the second you leave, because I guess you kind of face the realities of, you know, don't expect anything. Just try your hardest while you're out there.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of opportunity, but nothing's guaranteed.
Hmm. Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's arrogance on my part or cockiness or whatever, but I got to a point where I just expected to bring home an animal every time, you know,
Yeah,
and I still think that that is a reality, but
yeah,
I do see there's lessons I need to learn or go through, or I my neighbor down here in Texas, he's never hunted, but he knows that I run a podcast and the show on Carbon and website and all this, and so had a bad hunting experience recently, and I came home to him and he's like, "Oh man, that's what professional hunters are like." And I was like, "Dude, I'm not a professional hunter. I'm just a guy who's sharing my experiences with
yeah,
the world, and yet I still like feel like I'm brand new to this
yeah.
to an extent."
Hmm.
And and I think that's one of the humbling moments of this journey is I know why I started hunting, and I don't ever want to lose that. And in this journey of growing and sharing it with other people, I also need to make sure I have some wins. And like what you're saying is seeing your hunting partner start to get mentally defeated and all that. It is hard to stay in the game mentally when the odds are starting to stack up in the losing column or the not winning column.
Yeah, we sort of talk about like I would say all of us have done it. Maybe this is the first year where I've really felt it on every hunt. Like kind of as you get because like for us, we still booked our hunts based on like we're going September 15th through the 25th or whatever.
Hmm.
And then the urgency level starts to pick up as the hunt drags on and you're not seeing things or you're not feel like you're in the wrong area and you're starting to second guess yourself and what you're doing. And like patience is always key when you're hunting, and sometimes it gets tough to be in the moment. That first hunt's very easy for me to be in the moment the whole hunt, but as the season goes on, because it's like this year we had spring bear, which we had opportunity, but then you go a long way for that, you're unsuccessful, and then we went for spring turkey and we were unsuccessful for that, and then we went to fall bear and we that was a wild hunt and we had some opportunity and some things happened and wound up, you know, that hunt wound up being what it was. And then we went to Utah elk shortly after that and I missed on an animal and then it's like and then we're going into the high buck hunt and we were very successful on that. And that was absolutely just like a kind of a dream come true type of hunt. But it just gets a little bit tougher as the season goes on, to get out there and weather the hunt. They say it's a long season, and this year it was a long season. Luckily I was able to take my boy out to Idaho, my 9-year old. And although next year's the first year I want him to be holding a couple tags and actually get him on a hunt, but he hasn't been a part of a hunt that I've harvested on. And I had a deer tag in Idaho and turkey tags for the fall, and was able to go over to our Idaho property and notch the tag on a decent white-tailed doe. And I got my first tom while I was over there, and he got to be right next to me while I got both of those, which was extremely gratifying for me. Like that capped off the year. I mean, that was
Hmm.
when I was done on that, I was like, I'm good to go. I even told Tony on the high buck hunt because I still had tags in my pocket and we still had like a couple 2-3 days left on our hunt. And when we packed his out and got back to camp and got back, we ended up taking it back to the truck to just get it back. I said to him, I go, dude, I think I'm good. I think I'm full, dude. I'm good. Like, I don't need to go hike a bunch more miles. And
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. As a thank you, I got more discount codes for all of you. If you are in the market for anything in regards to calls, whether it's elk calls, turkey calls, deer, or predator calls, you can save 15% on all Rocky Mountain hunting calls by using the code Soul Seekers. That's all one word. And if you're in the market for hard side hydration, a better way to hydrate, go check out hardsidehydration.com. Use the code SoulSeekers10 to save 10%. And we also have a discount at Graxaw.com. That is, Graxaw is the leader in ultralight game bags and other backcountry gear. Light, fast, and efficient is their motto. Use the code SoulSeekers, all one word, to save 10% at checkout.
try to find an animal for me to notch tag on. Like, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
My cup's full, man. The season can end. I'm time to go home.
Yeah.
And just, spend some time with the family.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and then your season was just starting. So it's like, now I'm just kind of on the edge of my seat to.
Yeah, it's really interesting being on different timelines for hunts. The
Yeah.
hunting season kicks off in Texas with dove in September, but no big game opens up until October, pretty much.
Which is wild.
And so it's like all across the West, people have been hunting since mid-August or early August, killing big game animals, and I'm down here in the South being like, oh man.
Yeah, before yours even started, I had hunted bear, elk, and deer.
Right. What was it like sharing that experience with your kid? Going from that non-hunter mentee mentor, sharing it with other people, being someone who's not filling the tag but watching someone, and then ultimately getting to share it with your child. Like when you got into it 3 years ago, 4 years ago, did you have any foresight into what that would look like?
Liam specifically and Drew, both my boys, they just want to be like dad. So I knew, and we homestead and we process animals here at home. We raise and process our own animals. It's a very, like, hunting is just one aspect of providing for the family. We do this year round. We just do it at our home. But to experience that with my kid and be able to take him through that, honestly, I feel like I don't know if I'm trying to like I don't know if I'm trying to right what I felt like was a wrong in my upbringing or my life, not getting the opportunity to have somebody kind of show me that stuff when I was growing up. Um, but like, I want to be there for my kids for things that I was not privy to when I was a child.
Mm-hmm.
And hunting's a big one because I grew up in a hunting town, but my parents didn't hunt. Honestly, I don't even think they're really pro for it right now. But I'm way past that, so I don't really care. But um, my kids, Liam has shown a genuine interest in wanting to do that. Like, he wants to, you know, cut the heads off the chickens at home when we're processing them. And I just started recently having him shoot my old 22. I got a decent scope on it and got him shooting the 22. And he shoots. We got him a compound bow 2 years ago, and he's been shooting his bow and stuff like that. So, like, he has a genuine interest. He's been on a turkey hunt with me a couple years ago, just hiking and calling birds. Um, so to experience that with him, it was like, I don't know, kind of felt like maybe I would have been looking at myself had I had that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he, I mean, he lit up. His That was probably his favorite memory from this year, and it's probably something that'll be everlastingly stamped in his. I mean, I was like, let's make sure the deer's got time to die, dude. Even though it was dead, like, I hit it good. but he was like ready to run over there and just get after it.
Yeah.
So, and he got to be right next to me when I took the shot, and he got to watch him and check him out in the binos, and like he was just right there every step of the way. And it was really, really, really cool to experience that. Now I can only imagine what it'll feel like when he actually gets to take his first animal, and I get to be a part of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of emotions right now thinking about, I haven't necessarily brought my kids along on my hunts too much. Number one, because Western hunting is kind of challenging at that point, and because I've been learning
Yeah.
the process throughout it.
Yeah, and in full transparency, because this is a very transparent podcast, in full transparency, we hunted. I have some property in North Idaho that is, I know where the animals frequent. They come from some neighboring fields, and I had access to some other stuff. All in all, I had access to about 75 acres of land. I was only hunting like 20 of it. And I have been patterning these deers for the last several months via trail cams and stuff. So we hunted private property, and it was a perfect hunt. The animals were still very much in their own neighborhood, so they knew what they wanted to do and had to get timing to land up. They weren't just like flowing through. It was still a challenge to. I was there for a week, and it took me till like day 4 to notch something. So, but we didn't like go up into the mountains and go hiking miles and miles in backcountry. We did it on some private land with some timber in it and stuff, but it was I just wanted him to be a part of the process from start to finish, like understanding the importance of, of playing the wind and using cover, and how close you're going to get to them. And then when we get here, like, the importance of being quiet and sudden movements and different things. Like, they're very witty animals, so just being like very into what it takes to actually, you know put a stock on an animal and kill that animal.
Yeah.
And then to be a part of the processing portion of it. And then I had him carry a couple of game bags back, and he carried the whole turkey back to the truck and stuff. So it's like he got to understand packing some stuff, that's like the equivalent to like when we packed the blacktail out this year, me and Tony. For a little 9-year-old, a big game bag's like the equivalent of packing, a 100-pound pack out. So it's like, it's a good experience for him to see that.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. What did he end up? Does Liam? Is he vocal about that experience to you?
Yeah, he's more of a journaling type of kid. I mean, he's a very loud, vocal kid, but he likes to write about stuff in journals. Like, he asked me before our hunt if we could pick up a waterproof notepad, uh, so that he could write stuff down in it.
Yep.
And he kept track of. I haven't read through the whole thing exactly. He hasn't let me yet, but he kept track of like the day-to-day notes of like how our days were going. Um, which is just such a blessing to be able to share that with my kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then Drew won't be far behind him, but next year I'm hoping it's going to be the first year Liam's going to actually he's going to get to pull the trigger on something.
Mm-hmm. That'll be awesome. What do you think
Yeah.
that thing is going to be?
Probably a deer.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably get him. It's tough to say. Around here, there's some areas we could do some stuff, and it's local, but I do definitely think we could notch him. We could notch a tag on deer for him over at our property, Idaho, probably.
Uh-huh.
And it's probably similar to like what you were able to do with Carter, for his first one. We do have a blind set up, and we got some areas where it's like we can set up and get him set up steady on a saddle or tripod or something.
Mm-hmm.
So probably there, or who knows? Maybe we'll find ourselves in tech. I got a I got an invite from one buddy, and then I know the old gypsy down there. He's given me an invite too. So
Yeah. Yeah, it would be pretty cool to have you and Liam come down and partake in that. What do you think's what's the next step for you? What's your next progression?
Um, I kind of started looking at some lofty goals for next year, and we hunt every animal. We hunt spring bear. We find ourselves getting out for turkey. We hunt fall bear. I mean, I love hunting bear. I don't know that I could do away without at least going out for a weekend or something from bear.
Hmm.
And then I love hunting everything. I just love being out there. But I really, really, really want to harvest an elk.
Mm,
Cow elk, bull elk, spike. I don't really care. Um, I just want to finally get my hands on an elk up close
yeah.
and experience that. So, what I'm tussling with right now as I'm doing like next year projections is like, do I want to take some time away from some of the other hunts that I do and just really put my focus into elk
Hmm.
next year?
Yeah.
Instead of like, we'll still do a spring hunt for sure because spring bear hunting's awesome. Um, and I'm sure we'll still do like a fall hunt, but it's like, I don't know, dude, I wouldn't mind taking like 3 weeks and just going and hunting elk.
Yeah.
You know, I went to Utah this year to hunt elk, and I have an open invite back for next year. Um, and that's a pretty long elk season. I mean, they're like August 20th to September 25th or something. And obviously, the later you get in, you're getting into the rut and stuff. So I went early this year. I went for opener for 7 days or something, and we got into elk. The opportunity was there, but maybe do the elk hunt here in Washington for a week, and then maybe try to knock out a couple weeks in Utah or go to Idaho and just kind of do what some of them crazy elk hunters do and just like plan the whole month of end of August and month of September for elk hunting
Yeah. Yeah.
and just live on the road until I get it done. I don't know.
What's your
That's what I really do though.
yeah. With this being, talking about the progression and evolution and now you're setting loftier goals and all that. What's it like on the home front?
Oh, it's a fam.
Yeah, like you talking about being gone for that time period or hunting as much as you have been now.
Yeah, I feel like we've done a fairly steady job of um, progressing that. My The fortunate thing for me is that I've been with my wife now for since 2006. So we're coming up on 18 or 19 years here.
Hmm.
Um, so we grew up together. I mean, we were just kids when we met. We grew up together and kind of progressed in this. So she knows that from a time standpoint, I'm behind the curve. I've lost a lot of time not doing that through my teens and 20s and stuff. So I'm trying to make up for some of that.
Hmm.
And I had this talk with uh, Tony actually recently, where it's like I'm looking for experiences right now because it provides me a lot of like knowledge that I feel like I missed out on over all those years. And not to say that like you don't want to put the work in, because we put a lot of work into, and we haven't been overwhelmingly successful for the amount of work we've put in. So it's like we're definitely willing to go through the hard times to get to those victories.
Hmm.
Um, but experiences with people like going to Utah this year and then getting kind of an open invite back, it's like I don't my kids are young right now, but I don't have the next 10 years to just spend scouting every square inch of Washington state public land and stuff to find honey holes.
Yeah.
And I want other people's honey holes. I just want to go on experiences because I feel like experiences that I get, they give me real life, like a real life visual of what you are looking for. So then I'm not like, I can use those versus e-scouting and I can compare what I saw versus what it looks like. And it's kind of like a cheat code for me to be like, there's a better chance there's going to be animals here so I'm going to go check that out
Yeah.
because this looked like this, and yeah, I know things change, but it's like I don't feel like one, I'm afforded the amount of time now to spend the next 10 years just going out and striking out
Yep.
to a couple of honey holes.
Uh-huh.
So um, I've kind of been blessed to be able to set my goals a little higher and just kind of be like, you know what? If I get the opportunity, I'm going to go do it and hunt with these people because it gives me tremendous amount of experience. And everybody who we're in community with has been absolutely stellar, with giving information and really being kind of open books when they take us out. And I'll be ever forever thankful for those relationships.
Yeah. Dude, isn't hunting is such a wild thing.
Wild, man.
You hunt for so many different reasons, whether it's for food, for adventure, for solitude, for community, for, whatever. And then at the end of it all, um, like I find myself this today on a weekend. We when we choose to be good husbands, good partners, good fathers, you know,
Hmm.
spouse, whatever, whether it's, it doesn't matter what sex you are or whatnot, but
Sure.
when we commit to being good at what we do, taking care of the home front is first and foremost. And yet I constantly have this unsatiated feeling like, "Ugh, I need to notch a tag.
Yeah.
I want to lay my hands on a critter and bring it home." And maybe it's ego of, look what I have done for the family, or look what I can do myself. But going back to like today, it was a cold day, windy,
Sure.
and I'm like, I wonder what those deer are doing. If I was to sit out in that blind, would they be showing up? Could I
Yeah.
could I make this happen in a couple hours, or is it going to turn into, it's going to need a lot more time?
You
Um,
just taste.
Say that one more
You
time.
want. You just have a taste right now. You
Yeah,
want to get to the meat.
yeah, yep. So that's how I'm viewing things lately. So it's really interesting. My journey was being self-taught, um, to realizing how much fulfillment I found in it, that I shared it with everyone else, to wanting other people to experience it. And it was easy for me to want other people to experience it because I was also experiencing a lot of success.
Sure.
To now, I've been on quite a dry spell when it comes to notching tags and bringing meat home, that I want other people to experience it. And I feel like I'm not getting what I want out of hunting lately.
Yeah.
And ironically, it is because I want to bring meat home. I want to eat the meat that I shot and killed.
And I would say that it's definitely. I had a I had a great 2022 season. You know, and then I had a great 2023. I mean, Tony, we had some opportunities this year. I let some rounds fly, and uh, and I harvested a couple of. I mean, my first. I mean, I guess those were my first out of state tags that I harvested, which was cool. In Idaho here just recently, and then Tony got his blacktail, which was cool. So this year was another bountiful year for us. It's very easy. That's the other thing is I feel like it's pretty easy to share in somebody's triumph when you were recently triumphant.
Hmm.
But when you're on a spell, a dry spell, like you said, like it's I mean, dude, the year before I killed anything, you had like a record year. I mean, I think you filled like every tag you had. So it was like one hell of a year for you.
Hmm.
And then you go on a little bit of a spell and then moving and all the transition and stuff. Now I don't think it's ego. I don't think it's anything other than just you're just ready for it to be your time again.
Hmm.
And and you have put in the work to try and set that time up, and now it's just a matter of getting the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I had this talk with on a podcast or if it was just in general, but I feel whitetail hunting, I feel rushed on.
Mm, mm-hmm.
I don't feel like, when it's like, okay, I got a 4-day hunt, even a 3-day hunt. It's like, okay, I got time. I can settle into it.
Sure.
Being where you constantly have cell service or, you're 40 minutes from home and it's like, okay, there's something going on this afternoon. I need to make sure everything gets dialed in. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, that deer doesn't drop where you want it to, and I have to go search for it. How long is this going to take? And then not being able to like gut it in the field. Okay, now you're talking about transporting it, and then that's going to be a longer process. And rather than just
It's
being,
like that's really interesting you said that, and then like tying that into you asking how the home front's been, like with me being gone quite a bit this year.
mm-hmm,
For whatever reason, like every camp we had set up this year, even when we were way back in the backcountry, we had cell service. So the ability to check in was there. And I would say that it made it a little tough from the sense of like, I really, really love the checking out from the rest of the world.
yeah,
Not family, but the rest of the world. And literally them just not being able to reach me. Like it's out of sight, out of mind. I don't even care about what's going on.
mm-hmm,
I actually dread the getting back to the truck, and once you start hit pavement, then it's like your phone starts going off from all the stuff that's been happening. I actually don't really like that feeling.
yeah,
So hearing you talk about that, when you're deep in the backcountry on a 4-day, 5-day hunt, emergencies bring you home. When you're 40 minutes from home and have cell service, day-to-day stuff brings you home.
yeah. I'm not being satiated in that regard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's yeah, it's so funny. When I moved from Washington to Texas, I felt like a reverse pioneer. Like America's built on this manifest destiny, westward bound concept, from sea to shining sea. And here I was going the opposite direction, and I'm so grateful for it for a lot of reasons. Number one, because I'm learning different avenues of hunting, and now I get to speak to them. Because before it was just opinions, me asking people, "Oh, how do you find adventure in whitetail hunting? How do you blah 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 this that?" And like, okay, I see it now. Like I really see it, and it comes with its own challenges and frustrations. And I am getting antsy to. I could see how this season could slip away because of family responsibilities and different things and work schedules where I can't afford in my life right now to take a day off of work to hunt. It's
Sure.
either the kid better be sick or there's some emergency going on.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, okay, now it's just weekend time, and this weekend's for my wife, or this weekend's for my kids, or this weekend I want it to be for me, and that's me becoming an extreme challenge. Uh,
Yeah. Absolutely. Balance.
and it's the constant head game, and these are the things that are rattling around in my mind. It's like, all right, how are we gonna do this? How are we gonna do this? And I will also tell you this: self-filming hunts, not not easy. N-
Especially not in a blind on what.
Not easy at all. So, all of season 4, on most of all the Texas hunts will be self-filmed, and I'm excited to bring that content to Carvin TV. And at the same time, I'm definitely finding it to be extremely challenging because the difference the here and like shout out to Remy Warren and um, I'm drawing a blank on the original solo hunter, Tim Burton. Not Tim Burton. That's who does like Nightmare Before Christmas. Um, Tim, whatever. I'm missing the mark on this one, but the whole point is like to be present in the hunt. Um, I can be present in a hunt and film, but I'm
Hmm.
having a hard time being present in the hunt, learning the style of hunting
Sure.
and filming everything at the same time and being on a time crunch. And I'm like, all right, here, maybe it's just not meant to be, you know.
Uh,
But I'm not giving up like that. The point is I'm just dealing with some frustrations, and it's really interesting just to sit down and have just an open conversation about your progression and your evolution and mine as well.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, I guess for me, it makes it a little easier too, because I don't know about easier. It's a lot of work, but we raise a lot of meat here on the homestead. So the freezers are full one way or another.
mhm,
But we definitely, I really want to bring those harvests back and those full game bags. I really, really want. But I don't feel like I'm letting the family down if I don't.
uh-huh,
It just makes it tougher to spend the time away,
yeah,
because I feel like I'm at a spot in my life where obviously the style of hunting that we do, it's it's not something that without making accommodations I can take my 9-year-old on or my 5-year-old on, like without making crazy accommodations. And the odds are already so stacked against you when you're out there. So picking styles of hunts that I can get them out on and help them potentially be successful and myself, that's a win for me right now. And then we will progress into, they will be on my hunts at some point. I have no doubt in my mind they will be on my hunts at some point. But, I can go hike in the woods with them. Just some of the craziness that we get into is it's not something that I can do with them right now.
right,
And I want to do those things. So it just be like, yeah, well, we saw them, but we didn't get them. We
totally.
saw 'em, but we didn't get.
Yeah, and even have an excuse of it didn't happen because you, having a kid there or a child
Yeah.
there, which you never want to put any sort of blame on other things.
No, and
So,
you never truly know what expectations they set for your hunts when you're gone.
mhm,
So you hope you're not being disappointing when you come back.
mhm, 100%. Brother,
I've been bl- I've been blessed though. My family's been phenomenal.
I love it. I'm honored to have this conversation with you. I think this is a very important conversation that a lot of people experience, but a lot of people don't voice.
Yeah.
Um, and so, if you, as a listener, resonated to this conversation and you want to hear more, or you want to start up a little conversation about any of it, feel free to reach out to us at soulseekersnation.com or connect with us on our Facebook page, our Soul Seekers Nation Facebook group, or through social media. I'd love to hear feedback about this episode. You know, at the end of the day, we want to just be and do the best thing that we can. And yet when we sign up to be a partner in life with other people, our goals and our lives don't ever disappear. Same with the spouse. Like it's easy to see things just through our lens. It's like, oh, my wife has her own goals, my and own desires, and our children as they get older, they're gonna want their own things and their own time. And so managing it all together and being able to talk about it is one of the most powerful things that we can do. So if you guys like this episode and you want to hear more or you want to hear another follow up on this, I'd love to share with you guys, but let us know. Drop a comment, review, all that. Will, what's the next thing on the docket for you?
Oh, let's see. Next thing on the docket, you'll be up here in December. I got a cow butcher date coming up in December. And me and Tony drew some cow elk tags for late season. So that will be our next hunt we got coming up. We'll also be with the Safeties Off guys again this year. And as far as the home front's concerned, I got a cow butcher date. And yeah, November's coming, man. So just I'm 34 now, another revolution around the earth, and I'm already kicked into off season right now. I didn't do a super good job last year, kind of setting myself up, and it was time to prioritize my health and physical fitness and stuff. And I made it through the year all right, but you can do a lot better. So I'm getting back after that, and that's
There you go. I love
from
it. I love it. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in this episode. If there is anything you guys ever want to hear from this podcast, please drop us a line. Don't forget to go check out the store at soulseekersnation.com. Go pick up some merchandise, hats, shirts, stickers, all that. Love to connect with you and have you rep the brand and share the mission of mentorship as conservation. Remember that hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure and that you can never outgive good, as hunting is human and it is our job to spread the gospel and change the tide of public opinion. Be blessed, everybody. For Johnny Mack, Will Weber, Soul Seekers, stay soulful. We're out. If you enjoyed today's podcast and want to support the show, you can always like, share, subscribe, and leave a rating, as it helps us share our mission of mentorship as conservation. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of Soul Seekers Nation as we transform lives through primal adventure. If you want to get more connected with the podcast, check out the Soul Seekers Nation Facebook group, as I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. So stay tuned and stay soulful.